Hello and welcome to the Conscious Current for August. I am currently in the forest in Oregon. I don't have my microphone set up, so hopefully you can hear me okay. And, forgive me if there's some forest sounds. I am with a community here doing some grid work and also holding some medicine space. So, yeah, I'm just taking some time out of this bubble to drop in and tune in and share what I feel is revealing itself for August for the collective, for our consciousness that is unfolding and coming into harmony. And I really, when I drop into what we're moving through right now, I really see this really big shift away from trying to predict the future and a shifting into presence through resonance. And this is definitely the theme that I'm mapping, of resonance revealing itself through our experience, through our presence, through our slowing down, through our stillness. So as we become more still in ourselves, as we learn how to listen and feel our truth and our alignment, we are really dropping into having an experience now of true resonance reflecting itself to us. And this is really where we shift away from, the need to get somewhere or awaken to something, and the shift into the awakening that's already happening, and really the fruits of our resonance. So what it really feels like to live more in alignment, what it really feels like to come back into harmony, and what it really feels like to live through your own divinity. So this is starting to unveil itself, and you could call this like the unveiling of the new earth, in many different ways. It's like, as we move in alignment with love, in alignment with our truth, in alignment with our highest desire in each moment, it starts to be reflected to us, that reality. And a calibration to that definitely takes time, from a lifetime of living from external places, from a place of self-abandonment. We're not really used to living in flow and resonance. And I'm noticing the more that you move with resonance and the more that you move with alignment, the more that your highest experience will reveal itself to you. So the better you're experiencing your reality is just a reflection of how much in alignment you are. So this is really the reality reflecting the new you to you. And that takes some adapting to, because I've mentioned this before, that we're definitely in some sort of PTSD from things going wrong in the past. And as we land into more ease and flow and grace, we're almost like looking around waiting for the next bad thing to happen, but there's no more bad things happening. And there are casualties when we move into like alignment with ourselves, for example, the collapse of misalignment. So we can't avoid that. This includes like new friendships revealing themselves, and as that happens, old friendships dissolve, and it becomes less about there's less drama involved in this. It's just more, if you imagine you're calibrating to your highest and you're coming into resonance, into harmony with your truth and your essence, that helps you to reveal your true self and your essence as your soul. That makes you more visible to people that are more resonant with you. So it's like, I think there was a lot of pain before around people not feeling their soul tribe, or not feeling the people around them, not feeling resonant relationships. But we had the codes of who we were in our divine essence, so we knew what it was, but we weren't living it through the body. We weren't in harmony and resonance through our actions, through showing up in alignment. So therefore we could not experience it on the outside. We could not have a resonant reflection of who we really were, because we weren't truly living it. We weren't truly acting on it. So as you take action, as you listen, and as you move in alignment and in harmony with your highest desires, your highest wishes, your highest experience in each moment, you then start to fully vibrate through your whole experience who you really are. And that is a signal that is sent out into the field of who you are. And through that signal, and through resonance of other people listening to their own signal, the field starts to rearrange itself so that you can attract your soul tribe. You can start to experience them in real time. So this is something that I'm really noticing is shaping right now, is forming. And as people make those movements and take the decisions that are in alignment with their highest, as they collapse the old realities, as they leave old relationships that are, it's like I mentioned this in July, the choiceless choice to move in alignment. It's like you can no longer move out of alignment. It feels too disharmonious to your own inner being to stay in a situation that doesn't feel good to you. So as you learn how to take care of your nervous system and take care of yourself and love yourself, you literally love yourself into a new reality and love yourself into new relationships. And that does mean that there's some casualties in terms of the collapse of the old, but they're less dramatic. I feel like there's just a recognition of we're no longer resonant, and sometimes there's not even a closure needed in those scenarios. There's just a movement away. There's just a shift away from what is no longer in your highest alignment. And there's no making the other side wrong. There's just a recognition of dissonance versus resonance, and there's more ability to move in alignment and resonance. And I'm noticing this like divine orchestration that is taking place because of this. So there's groups forming, there's friendships forming, there's new relationships forming that feel more like divine orchestration, because as you move in resonance with your own highest and your own reality, you start to experience more synchronicities, and you go to the places that are leading you on your intuition. You're listening to your intuition, so you're moving in that field of what is the golden thread that is calling you somewhere. And as you listen to that golden thread, that's when the synchronicities start to appear. That's when things start to get into flow. You know, this can come through just symbols and synchronistic experiences of meeting a certain person in a certain place at a certain time, because you decided to listen to your intuition versus your mind. You start to listen to the feeling versus the good idea, and you stop moving from logic, and you start to move from a deep space of listening. And you can only do that as you slow down and take time to listen, to feel. And if you imagine your biggest flex in this reality, your biggest position of power, is when you're really present and your whole system is at peace, and you allow yourself to be present enough to listen to what life is arising, what desire is arising moment to moment. And that life and that desire, even if it's just a subtle movement of, I want to go to this cafe today, or I want to walk down this street today, and you turn the corner and you meet somebody that changes your whole life. So there's a time right now to pay attention to the signs, symbols, numbers, whatever way your own soul wants to communicate it with you. And as you follow those signs and symbols, it's like you're following the golden thread or the breadcrumbs into your highest experience. And, you know, the more that you collapse realities around you that are no longer resonant, the less you hold on to anything, the more you come into the present moment. That is where your highest timeline is truly available to you. So if you imagine, like, I've had so many periods of my life where I've really let go, and I notice in those times when I'm not holding on to anything, even plans, I see again and again and again how my highest experience unfolds itself and reveals itself to me moment to moment. And that includes this journey that I'm on right now, going to Canada to do this beautiful goddess festival and open the grid and do some grid work there, and now landing into Oregon, not booking things in advance and just allowing the adventure to unfold meant that I had so many more experiences that I wouldn't have had I tried to overly plan or overly control the destiny, because destiny is unfolding itself, and things reveal themselves in the right moment, in the right time, just in time, in the divine timing, if you allow that to happen. And that depends on your level of ability to trust. So how much you trust and how much you can let go is how much you are open to receiving your highest experience. And this goes for abundance too. It's like how much you're willing to not hold on to things, and how much you're willing to give, and also opening to reciprocity. So part of like you coming into resonance with your highest is like meaning that you no longer operate just in giving or just in taking. You're actually opening to giving and receiving in equal measures, and trusting in the infinite flow of abundance that is available to you. And you're no longer tightly holding on to trying to get something or from somebody. Like, it's kind of like the end of agenda, and the moving into very intentional creation and very intentional relating, and really understanding that reciprocity feels good on every level, and it doesn't feel good to take responsibility for others, and it doesn't feel good to also take from others. We end up breaking connections and breaking the golden thread that could exist between us when we operate in a give and take or non-trusting way of relating. So as we learn how to trust and listen to ourselves, we're moving into more trusting, more beautiful, more harmonic, more reciprocal relating. And yeah, this is where divine orchestration comes into play and really can become visible in this time. Something else that I'm noticing right now is, you know, we're in August. I always map August as there's continual themes that happen throughout years. You know, you start to, as you map collective fields, you start to notice there's recurring themes and cycles, because we are in a timeline of like, we're subject to time and weather and shifting of the seasons. I see a lot of the time August is a choice point where people are making decisions that are like locking in their next timeline. So there's a lot of upheaval, sudden upheaval sometimes, and transformation happening in August. It's almost like an opportunity to shift more into resonance. And I know people work with it a lot. You know, the Lionsgate portal is in August. People work a lot with it as a gateway and a portal. And I do see it as that, but it's less, again, we're moving away from less of a big event. We're not waiting for some big event to happen. We are landing into an ability to align with our own gateways to our oversoul, versus waiting for some big event, a big awakening event to happen from the outside. We are shifting into creating reality and being the portal and allowing that gateway to open up inside of ourselves. And this, our own gateways to our highest experience, to our resonance with our oversoul, to our divine essence, they are accessible only through us becoming more still, more clear, more resonant, more alignment with our truth. So the more you shift into alignment with your highest, with your feelings, through a space of deep listening and presence, the more you get still in your own experience, the more you allow your own gateways to naturally come back into resonance. So it's like, it's no longer an awakening to something or like some big event or like your sense is suddenly opening. It's a slowly waking up to harmonic resonance with your soul. So you come into harmony so that this gateway may open. So I feel this like gentle awakening and gentle shift in ability to perceive reality as it is. And I was really reflecting on this as well around like the theme that's really up in the spiritual field around the aliens are going to land. And it's not that they're going to land, it's the galactical family are already here. It's just that we are not on a high enough frequency, a fast enough speed to be actually able to perceive them. So it's not so much that they're going to land, it's that we're going to land into the reality that is actually a high enough speed, fast enough speed, a high enough frequency to be able to see them. So the more we slow down to speed up, the more we allow our senses to come into harmony with that level of frequency, the more we will just be able to vibrate on the same frequency to be able to communicate with them more in this reality. And I'm really noticing this blending of like the physical and the non-physical. For me personally, I'm seeing this ability to live in both realities at once, this ability to be more omnipresent. And I realize that that comes from a deep space of presence and stillness and not being fragmented. So as we, you know, July was about like returning and listening and feeling and moving in alignment with feelings. As we do that, the result of that is that you are more here, you are less fragmented as a soul, you are much more sovereign, and you have much more ability to tune into other realities. So it's like your signal becomes strong, your essence becomes visible, and as your essence as a soul becomes visible, you attract the divine orchestration of soul family. So there's going to be gatherings that feel like community can finally be. There's the shadows have less ability to take hold. It's almost like I'm kind of noticing now as well the really deep shadows that are the ones that we really just weren't looking at. There's echoes of those arising right now to really, it's like they cannot be withheld anymore. So the shadows are really revealing themselves right now. What's really in the basement wants to come to the surface. And a theme that I am noticing in terms of, we'll say, shadows that are being transmuted or want to be dissolved right now is like the basement shadows. So sexuality, especially notice this as I land into Portland, and even landing into America in general. But I see this as like a collective shadow that we're dealing with in the world. If you imagine unity consciousness is the complete erosion of greed and the ability to live in abundance and harmony with the one, with the all. There is a need for us to really look at the survival mechanisms and the basement addiction programs and addiction patterning, the sexual addiction, food addiction, drug addiction, these base level stuff that really grip the hardwiring of the body. There's a need to really reclaim your sovereignty and purify yourself away from the things that you are addicted to. And we can become comfortably numb and addicted to many things, and it can be like scrolling, it can be tiny like hints of substances, you know, depending on your level of addiction. I see like addiction as one of the main shadows that we need to work with, and this includes sexual addiction. I'm noticing a move towards celibacy in the male and female. There's a shift away from, you know, as we become more sovereign and as we learn how to feel ourselves and birth our essence, there's an inability to abandon yourself anymore. So as that happens, you're checking for resonance constantly in terms of like who you might engage with on a very intimate level. And there's less urgency, and I would see like the way that we might like want to merge with somebody instantly, like having sex with somebody or sleeping with somebody, you know, in the first week of meeting them, for example. There's nothing wrong with this, but there's more of an immaturity and an urgency around it, and the animal is more in charge in those scenarios, the animal body. But we're learning how to have more consciousness, more heart, more listening to the desires, and not giving it all away or not merging too soon, like allowing things to unfold in a very slow, sacred way. And part of this is like returning to the innocence of our own sexuality, like coming back to the purity of the inner child, the purity of our sensuality and our sexuality, and to really just be the guardian of your temple, and to only move and to only merge when you're fully in alignment and you really have the higher purpose together and you're fully resonant, and you don't need to go all the way in to discover that you're not resonant. There's an ability to listen now, and there's an inability to abandon yourself or to overstep your boundaries. So yeah, I really feel like celibacy is surfacing, and not in a way that like, oh, you're going to be celibate forever. It's just more like this returning to the purity of the sexuality and the preciousness of it and the sacredness of it, and really making sure, not from a place of mistrust, from a place of truly listening, that if you're going to merge with somebody, you will really be merging in co-creation to something higher or bigger than yourself. So this sacred union codes really want to be lived. And in order to live those, we have to come back into sacred union with ourselves. And that includes the deep level of listening, that you would only merge and you would only join in union with another from a place of being in full union and resonance with yourself. And again, the more you get into your essence, the more you know what you need, what your desires are, what your values are, what you hold in the center, the more you have the ability to explore relating from that same resonance. And also the more visible, the more connected you are to your values, to who you are, the more visible that frequency is to another. So it's very easy, it becomes much easier to check resonance because you're in resonance. So this is really the revelation of resonance. It's like what we're moving into and landing into is the collapse of misalignment and the surfacing of all the things that keep us away from alignment. And like I said, there's some casualties in that, and usually around relationships as we allow divine orchestration to take hold. A big fear for people around letting go of friendships and family and relationships is that you'll be alone. And actually, we spend most of our lives craving to finally be with ourselves fully. So this paradox of like, I don't want to be alone. I can't bear to be with what is in the shadows. Therefore, I avoid myself, and therefore I don't discover my true essence. So we're shifting away from that, and we're moving into, I choose to fully be with myself, and I choose to be with myself no matter what. I choose to not abandon myself. And from that space, you widen and you deepen into the ability to love yourself, the ability to truly finally sit into and be with your whole experience, and that includes the shadows. And in this time we're really developing more bandwidth to love. And in that bandwidth, there is a deeper level of ability to hold yourself through any difficult scenario. And there's more strength available in your experience to stand up in the face of challenge and to also not get it caught in drama. You know, this is a movement away from drama. It's very non-dramatic endings. I mean, it can be dramatic if you're if you're in the drama field. There can be dramatic endings as well, but what we're being called into is just a gentle recognition of we're not resonant, and a gentle movement away from and moving towards what is more resonant, what feels better. And sometimes we need to go through a space of emptiness and nothingness and feeling lost again to find that resonance, to allow it to find you, to and you know, in the space where you're lost, you truly find yourself. This is again like the space of slowing down, feeling, listening, being with yourself, taking that time to really unplug so that you can plug back in, so that you can come into the harmonics of your own soul, so that you can then re-emerge and be in community that feels and connection that feels more resonant. So yeah, I'm kind of noticing this like movement to go outwards and movement to find your tribe. There's been periods of people being very alone and really cultivating their sovereignty and really learning how to listen. And now there's a movement to go out and play. So again, this return to innocence, curiosity, play, creativity, and it's from a place of listening to your nervous system, from a place of knowing what you need, and from a place of also vulnerability, being able to ask for what you need in all scenarios. And as you build this safety inside of yourself, you're very safe to go out and play with others. There's an ability to not harm yourself through connection and to really just truly be in deep listening and deep relationship with yourself, with others. So yeah, I'm seeing this like soul family emerging into co-creation, and for us to really then truly finally have an experience of what it feels like to be in a loving community, to be in loving communion with others, to truly be in the revelation of the healed version of community, the healed version of sisterhood, the healed version of brotherhood, and then the healed version of relationships, intimate relationships. So there's more visibility around true love coming online, true unconditioned love, living in or landing into the condition of the love that you are. So yeah, this is quite exciting. Like I'm loving I'm loving this theme right now. And yeah, there's a careful listening and checking in relationships to make sure that everything is resonant before you go all the way into committing to something together, and taking space away from the need to be codependent. This is like the end of codependency. It's the movement towards interdependent relating that is based on reciprocity and care and love and core values and ability to dance and to be in harmony together. Yeah, and just a real ability to co-create. And it's like there's so much less effort involved. There's friendships no longer become effort. There's no have tos or shoulds. It's letting go of taking care of each other and really caring for each other as part of ourselves. So there's this blending of like, I care for myself as part of you, I care for you as part of myself. There's this ability to, yeah, like I said, not abandon self and to be in your divine alignment, and to allow the friendships that are supportive of you listening to yourself and supportive of you loving yourself. And you know, the ones that say, when you take care of yourself, they say thank you for listening to yourself. They don't try and guilt trip you and blame you and try and make you responsible for their experience. And yeah, they don't try and convince you to move away from yourself, to fall into their creation or to fall into alignment with their creation. They really honor you. So there's a surfacing of, or a visibility of honoring right now. There's an availability to really notice that we have a more attunement to what it truly feels like to honor each other. And yeah, this is a movement into more mature level of listening. Like you're really listening to the being that's in front of you because you're listening to yourself, because your receptors are on, because your signal is stronger. You're able to hear what that person is saying beneath the words. You're able to feel who they are without merging with it. You're able to respond to reality as it is versus react, versus being in an unconscious reaction to. So there's a level of maturity and care and slowness involved in the movements, and there's a softness, there's like a graciousness that comes with that energy. And there's also a celebration. There's like an ability to enjoy more. Also August is something that I notice is, it's like the fruits of the year are like going to be harvested as we move into the transition of autumn. And if you imagine the fruits are becoming visible, we're starting to see what's been growing, or what is growing in our experience right now, and what's available to us. And we're going to enjoy those fruits of the labor of our consciousness, of the moving into alignment to come into an effortless flow of what is your highest. So there's some juicy fruits visible and available to taste and to bite into, and to really enjoy reality as it is. As you start to really, truly live in more resonance and more alignment. So yeah, I just feel this is a good month. I mean, there's obviously more collapse happening, and I'm saying it's a good month. There's also going to be, like I said, the shadows that are surfacing, but it's nothing that we can't handle. There's more fortitude and more ability to deal with challenge available because we are stronger, we are more here. There's more ability to stand up into. And also, during collapse and during a rise into the resonance of who you really are, there is a lot of rest still needed. So it's not like suddenly you don't need to rest anymore. I definitely noticed that I have a lot more capacity to show up in service of others. And it's not from a place of ignoring self, it's from a place of being truly resourced. So as I am resourced in myself, as I am listening to my needs and nourishing myself, I have a lot more bandwidth to show up and be with others and hold others. And it's like, we become the stabilizers in the field. We become the grid points of that consciousness that is coming online. And yeah, as you don't abandon yourself, you're just stronger. You're more here, you're wider, you're more solid. So there is this beauty in being able to stand up more in a greater bandwidth to love, and a greater bandwidth to be with everything, and to understand, and to not create separation. And like I said, there's an undramatic shift away from what is not in alignment, and there's a gentle landing into more harmony, more harmonics. So yeah, as fractures happen, it's almost like the people call it like the difference between, or the split in reality, the 3D and the 5D. I see it just resonance taking shape. It's like this great split in reality is just the reorganization of resonance versus dissonance, and the no longer staying out of survival in a place that doesn't feel good anymore. And yeah, I don't really see it as, it does feel like two different realities, but I don't see myself as separate from somebody who's not in their conscious process. I just see it as souls on a different trajectory in this timeline, and some are moving more towards disconnection because that's their soul evolution, is to experience disconnection fully. And there's some moving more into connection with the divine golden thread that runs through all of us, more into unity. And those people, as they find each other, they literally create the new earth, and that new earth is to be enjoyed by anybody who wants to upshift into it. And that includes people who are currently on a path of disconnection. The stronger we come into harmonics with each other, the more we create that resonant field, the more that field becomes visible to those who want it, to those who are on the soul trajectory towards that. And the more you then have the choice to move towards that or away from it. And it's not good or bad. There's a lot of pain that has been experienced in myself and in others through trying to drag people along with us into that new reality. There's a difference between, we have karmic relationships that are here to really like unveil the shadows and to bring them up and to shake them up and to give us a chance to transmute and to elevate and to birth our own divine essence here. Challenge creates the contrast to contract and expand to birth who we are. So we have karmic relationships that are in our lives for those reasons, but it doesn't mean that they're our soul family, that they're the people that we're going to move forward with. The karmic relationships are super important, but there's a point where those cycles come to an end. And it's really important that we don't try and drag somebody into our reality, because everybody has to create their own gateway and their own pathway to their own divine essence. We cannot do that for somebody. I've experienced in my own life very painful experiences of dragging people along, or trying to, like, you're hammering their head I'm laughing because it's like you're just trying to wake somebody up, but we're letting go of that. This is abuse, actually. We're getting out of the drama cycle of like people need to be like us. We're stopping trying to change others so that we can feel connected to them. We're learning how to live with difference. We're learning how to be compassionate, truly compassionate, and allow others to have their own experience, even if it means they're going fully into disconnect, fully into separation, whatever it is, fully into duality, fully into the mind. They came here for that experience, and we need to honor each soul's path and not try and change them. Just trust and give the responsibility to everybody to take care of their own destiny and to learn how to listen to what is in their alignment in this timeline, because it truly is some people's path to move more towards disconnect and more towards shadow in this timeline. So, the duality of everything coexisting is allowing us to experience the contrast of the beauty of what we have chosen. And yeah, I'm just really recognizing a deep beauty in my own experience, like a deep gratitude and a sweetness to landing into resonance, and how beautiful it is to be in soul alignment, because your highest experience, like I like I like to say this a lot, because we don't really have free will. I mean, we do. Your free will is your permission and your choice to push against what is already your destiny. And if you're not listening, there will be a level of pushing against through ego, a level of I'm going to do it this way or I'm going to go that way. And what happens is the more you push against what is already laid out for you, what is already your highest experience, the more you get kind of slapped back into resonance. And the more you come into resonance, the more you know to not push against, to not try and force, to really listen to and go with the flow. And to recognize that your highest experience is available from that central column of divine alignment and divine listening and surrendering to your divine will, listening to your dharmic path, the path that is something that you've already chosen and laid out for you to live. And why would you not choose your highest experience? We have all laid out our hero's journey for ourselves to calibrate to. And of course, we're going to create the best experience and the juiciest experience. And if you've created yourself, you're going to create yourself as the masterpiece that you want to experience here. So we're getting more into our essence. Our essence is becoming more visible, that we start to really appreciate and love who we are and our masterpiece, mastering peace. And like I said earlier, peace is like one of the biggest flexes, because when you are at peace, if you imagine we're a harmonic field, I'm talking a lot about resonance for August, and we're landing into peace. Peace, there's nothing happening in peace. It's just present. It's just still. It's this like gentle humming of energy. And if you imagine, we get entangled with other people and other people's experiences when we're not at peace. So somebody comes into our field and they're stirred up and they have a topic and they're in a certain ego or whatever's going on for them, or they're angry. And if you have a reaction to anger, if you have a reaction to their state of being, that means that there's a part of you that's not at peace. Whereas when you're truly at peace, none of those things stick to you. None of those things affect you, or none of those things pull you outside of yourself. And then you don't attract any conflict. You don't attract any drama, because you're just at peace with everything. You're in acceptance of everything as it is. And I think that's one of the greatest spiritual lessons that we have. We're really just learning how to accept everything exactly as it is and be in alignment to deep listening. And it's not that we don't create or do anything from that place. Is that when you're at peace, you truly have the ability to listen to the life that is arising within you and inside of you in those moments, and learning how to choose from that place and move in harmony with that, and move in divine alignment with those pieces. So coming into your masterpiece for August, and enjoying the revelation of the truth of the birth of your soul essence. I feel this birthing energy very visible right now. People are really birthing their joy, they're birthing their love, they're birthing the beauty, they're birthing their hearts. And there's pain involved in birth as well. The pain of the falling away of the old, the pain of the dissolving of the shadows, and this like paradox of the pain and the beauty at once. So there's more ability to kind of hold the both spectrums and the emotional alchemy to allow the highest to be born. and more capacity, more ability to stay with self, to stay with your full experience, so that you give yourself a chance to truly birth that essence. So enjoy August. I would love to hear what you're moving through, to what resonates, and anything that anyone wants to add. I'm here for it. So sending you all love and beautiful blessings moving into this gateway into your oversoul, into your resonance, this landing into reality, this responding to reality, and this resonance revealing itself in this time. And we will see you again next month. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you. I love you. We'll see you soon.